Welcome to Everything Iconic. I'm here with the one and only, a queen, an icon, and a legend, Kandi Burruss. Kandi, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so excited to be talking to you because, first of all, I of course know and love you from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but you're such an incredible talent outside of the Housewives, and I've been such a huge fan of your music. And I
Thank you.
got to quickly tell you a little story. On the day where the election was announced on CNN and Fox News and all of the networks, they had called Biden for the win. I went outside. I live in Los Angeles, California, and on Santa Monica Boulevard, the first thing I saw was a car. It was a couple. They had their windows rolled down, and they were playing No Scrubs as loud as they could. And I wish I had footage of it because people started collecting around this car on the street, literally dancing in the streets to your song, singing No Scrubs.
Are you serious?
I swear it was, I wish I took video of it because it was such a special moment. The energy was obviously like electric that day.
Wow.
Um, are you able to get a sense of the impact that song has had specifically?
Well, that song is crazy because here we are over 20 years later now. And it seems like that song is still, like it's brand new for some people. They still sing it like we just wrote it yesterday or something. And obviously it feels good to me, that song means so much to people. And, they relate it to so many things. Like you said, even with the election, people related to Trump, we don't want no scrubs. So whatever it is, they find a way to make that song to relate to so many different situations. And so it's super cool to me.
Right. I want to break down some of your songs in just a second, but I'm a huge Mariah Carey fan, and I loved her book. Did you get a chance to read her book?
I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I heard that she mentioned us in there.
Yeah. So that's what I want to ask you about. So she tells this infamous story about Sing Sing, which was the mansion she lived in with Tommy Mottola. And she tells the story of Escape being at Sing Sing to record. I think you guys were doing the Always Be My Baby remix, I believe. And you guys, you were in the recording studio, and her and Debrat, they escaped Sing Sing, and you and Jermaine Dupri and Escape were waiting for her, and no one knew what was going on. Do you remember that day?
The thing that I remember about that day is thinking, wow, Mariah Carey is hilarious. Like, she's super, super funny. And I don't think that, it didn't click to me that she would be so funny. You know how some people are just kind of like, oh, okay, they're cool or whatever. But like, she was like naturally like a funny person, like that just had everybody cracking up all night. And I just didn't think that she would just be so like cool and just relaxed, like, in our minds, like we're coming up to this big mansion and, you think, oh, this is Mariah Carey, but for her to just be so laid back, so fun. And yes, her and Brat, obviously, they just really clicked and connected. But to just be so funny and be able to imitate people and all kind of stuff, it was just like, oh, wow, like she just was a really cool person.
Right. And what was the vibe when everyone's like looking for her and you guys are waiting for her and Debrat? And
I don't remember that part of it.
You gotta read the book. You gotta read the book.
Yeah, I don't really remember the part about, searching for them, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. You've worked with all of these superstars. I mean, people like Mariah Carey and Usher and Beyonce and Destiny's Child. And I wonder, are you able to see kind of like what sets someone like Beyonce or Mariah Carey apart from, just, I don't want to say a traditional talent, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like certain people, their work ethic is, sets them apart from the rest. They're just different, or they just know what they want. Certain people, when they come in the studio, I've had the opportunity to work with Mariah more than once. Obviously, she talked about the time when I worked with her with the group. But then there was the other time when I worked with her. I co-wrote with her. I did a song with her on, what's that? The Rainbow album. We
Rainbow.
did Ex-Girlfriend, the song Ex-Girlfriend, and we co-wrote the song over the phone together. She was overseas in the studio. I was here in Atlanta, but we both were doing sessions on other songs at the same time. So we would meet, we would be like, she would say, hey, okay, well, I'm going to call you on my break and, you know, we'll come back together. We'll come up with this idea and, you know, we'll call each other back. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we would hang up and then I'll go and write on this other song. And then I'll work on that idea that she and I had for a little bit. And then we'll get back on the phone and I'll say, okay, well, what do you think about this? And she said, yeah, I like that. I don't like this. Maybe we should change this word. And then we'll say, okay, and we'll come up with that part and then we'll leave and then we'll come back. But it was just, she knew exactly what she wanted. She knew what her sound was. She would say, I would never say something like that. I need a word that's more like this. I need something that's more like that. She knew her style, you know? The same thing with like Beyonce at the time when I worked with her in Destiny's Child. You know, even though she was in a group and she was super young at the time, she very much knew, you know, like, hey guys, if we don't like this beat, you know, she told her group members, I remember, Shakespeare had played some beats for them and he walked out the room and I was still in the room and he was playing Bugaboo. And they were like, kind of like, I don't know about this beat. And she was like, hey guys, if we don't like the beat, we need to just let them know, you know, we shouldn't waste their time, blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, you know, I have an idea for it. You know, do you mind if I sing it for you, you know, before you guys make your decision? And she said, okay, you know, but I sung the idea that I had and, you know, they were like, okay, you know, she felt the vision that I was going for, and then we all collaborated together to finish it. But the point was, she had a vision. She knew what she saw for their group, you know, and she was very direct. It wasn't any beating around the bush. It was a vision. You know, they see it and they work hard. It's nonstop. You get what I'm saying? And some people are very lax and they let everybody do everything for them, and they just, you know, are very kind of like, okay, whatever you want to do. But no, they are very, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want.
What was the part of Bugaboo what was that? Do you remember what that part was?
Yes. Well, at the time, the beat was just more so like if you heard the track without the lyric and melody on top, at the time, it just sounded like a beat that somebody would rap to. It didn't sound like something that somebody would sing over. So I don't think they really heard it. They didn't really hear the vision at first, you know? And so I remember I was like, well, let me just kind of sing the melody for you. And I was just like, you know, I just was like, it's not hot. Da, 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 da. You know, I just kind of like sung the melody for what I heard for the verse. And I had already had the concept of what I wanted to do. I think at the time I knew what I wanted the hook to be, but she did change it slightly. I remember that. For the hook for Bugaboo, definitely. So yeah.
I mean, Kandi, like, it blows my mind that you wrote so many of these songs that were like a soundtrack to so many of our lives. I mean, Bugaboo, Bills, Bills, Bills. I remember when Pink came out with There You Go. I loved that song, which was yours too, right? Or you wrote it as well. I don't know. Were you always a creative mind? Were you always able to write?
I think, you know, I mean, I guess like a lot of people who write, I think I was always great with melodies. That was my thing. Like I was always good with coming up with dope melodies to tracks. And I was always a great concept person, you know, and I think from working in the studio with my own group and being around Jermaine for so long and seeing how with my own group, you know, he would take, you know, regular sayings that everybody said all the time, like just kicking it and make a whole song out of it. You know, it was, you know, I took that in, you know, from being in a group for so long and was able to adapt that to my own style, you know. Right. And so, yeah, from just being able to be great with melodies and eventually lyrically just tightening up coming up with my own style, it just got better and better.
You wrote a song on one of the biggest albums of all time, on NSYNC's album No Strings Attached. You wrote "It Makes Me Ill," and I've heard a lot of the members say. I think Lance had recently said he thought that should have been a single because it is such a great song. I was just re-listening to it. Um, what do you remember from that process with that song?
Well, first of all, I loved NSYNC at the time, and so I was like super excited to work with them. And I also was super excited with the fact that I was going to get to work with a guy group because at that moment, everybody was like, oh, she just writes all these male bashing records. And so I was happy to be able to do something for guys, you know, so that I could show people like, I don't just write male bashing records. I could write something for a guy as well. And so I was determined to come up with something really dope for them. And yeah, It Makes Me Ill was what came together. And it was super dope. I really was hoping that it would be a single for them, but it didn't turn out that way. But yeah, I really love the record and how it turned out.
It's my opinion that JC is one of the greatest vocalists. I always loved his voice in NSYNC, and that song always was special to me. Do you have a favorite amongst all of these songs that you've done? I mean, whether it be a single or something that hasn't been released?
I do have some favorites, multiple favorites. I mean, I would have to say the song that I had on my own record with Faith Evans, Easier, it means a lot to me because it was really about losing my brother and how whenever you lose somebody, when somebody dies and you lose them and they're close to you and you never get over it, but it does get easier over time. And so it just means a lot to me because it was me emotionally venting, because I always vent through my songs basically. So that song is always going to mean a lot to me. But So Good is a song that means a lot to me. That was one of the songs that was on that Destiny's Child album. Single for the Rest of My Life. I love that song. That was a song that was the group ISIS that was on Arista. I used to love that song too. Pooh Bear and I wrote that song. He writes a lot for Justin Bieber now, but we collaborated together to write that song. Yeah, but I don't know.
Is it hard? Huh? Is it hard to give these songs up? Like when if you really fall in love with the song, is it hard to give it to another artist? Do you think I want to sing this or?
Not really, because my thing is, it's like, if you write great records, right, you have to be able to give them away, because if you don't give a great record to another artist, if everything you give away is mediocre, then they're never going to want you to write for them. Right. If they feel like you only keep the great records for yourself. So to me, I always felt like you have to be able to give great records away for people to even want to work with you, you know?
Yeah.
And it was very important to me for people, for people to feel confident that I would give them my best, Mm-hmm. And so that's why I was just like, I always feel good about giving people a great record. If I did that, that means that I did my job, Yeah. And I feel strongly, like, I love the fact that, being a writer is very important to me, just like being an artist is important to me. I think they're both important, but I feel just as comfortable being behind the scenes as I do being in front. So either way, I'm happy.
Yeah, and you're so talented, but also it seems to me, just from watching you on Housewives and in the media and stuff, that you have a great business sense too. And was that something you were always aware of from an early age? I mean, it seems like, I don't know what the right term is, like whether it be like diversifying your portfolio or dipping your hands in other pots or whatever that term is. Have you always been aware of that?
Well, I think when I was first starting in the group, I was still in high school. So it was just really like my mom always preaching to me like, oh, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't put all your in my mind. I'm like, Mom, we got platinum albums, we're going to blow up. We're going to be big and all this other kind of stuff. But at the same time, what she was saying was always staying in my mind. And I was thinking like, okay, well, if everything falls apart, how am I going to maintain this lifestyle? Like, because I didn't want to be one of those child stars that you see that, are doing well in life as they're young, but then you see them when they get old and, you're like, oh God, they're not doing good. they're living on the streets, life is bad, I didn't want that to happen to me. So I was always trying to figure that out. And I would read all these financial books and different things, trying to figure out how can I maintain my lifestyle and, become successful and stay there. And so that was just like a thing for me to figure out.
Yeah. We've gotten to know Mama Joyce on Housewives, and I'm curious what she was like during the escape years, the early years of your career. Was she involved in sort of the management of it, or did she just let you guys do your thing?
She wasn't our manager, but she was like extremely supportive. Before we got our deal, she was like super supportive in a way of like, we used to do a lot of the rehearsals and stuff at our house, at my house or whatever. And then like she would help buy like a lot of our costume, like whatever we needed to perform in. And she would always, she was just our biggest supporters. My mom, and I, we went through a lot at that time because my brother died when I was 15. So, I got in the group when I was 14. Okay. So that was like during the time we went through that transition. So it was also the thing that I think helped her through it. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still emotional for me. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry.
That was the thing that helped her through, I think,
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. And, I always really respected and loved on Housewives how we got to, you had mentioned, I'm always going to take care of my mother. I thought it was so beautiful. And the way you explained, I think you explained at a reunion where it was like, it all clicked, where it was like, oh, of course she's going to take care of Mama Joyce. Of course she's going to support her. Yeah. It was beautiful. Housewives, when you joined in season 2, was that something you were nervous about doing because you were in another segment or area of the entertainment industry?
Yeah. Well, of course I was nervous. Well, basically, I didn't really know anything about the reality world. The funny thing is, I was just, doing my own thing behind the scenes. I kind of got comfortable behind the scenes and just, doing me in the music world, whatever. And Tiny, she wanted to get into TV and stuff. And she had started talking to some of her friends about developing a TV show. And she had reached out to me and was like, hey, you want to be a part of this thing that I'm putting together? So I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I started working with her on that, right? And she was like, we had started working on it, got some interest in it. And as we were working on it, I remember Derek J had asked me, Derek J? Yeah. He was like, hey, girl, they're looking for people to interview for season 2 of the Atlanta Housewives. Now, I had watched the show and I seen it. I liked it, but I didn't really see myself on it. So I was like, I'm working on something already, like whatever. So he's like, I'm going to tell them to call you anyway because they need somebody with their own money. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So anyway, fast forward. The people that Tiny and what we were working on, they decided to only use Tiny and Toya, which we was, and I was like, well, okay. I was disappointed, but I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. But then the very next week, the people called me to interview me about the Housewives, what Derek J was talking about. So I was like, okay, I'll take the interview. But I said all that to say, had Tiny not introduced me to the idea of doing television, I probably wouldn't even been open to meeting with the people when they called me, when Derek J had me to have the interview. So everything happens for a reason. I ended up obviously doing the Housewives, not thinking it was for me, but clearly it was for me because here I am 12 years later and still doing it. But it's just so funny how life plays out, and yeah.
That's something I've been trying to learn in my career and everything is like, things sort of happen the way they're supposed to, and certain doors close that you thought would open, and vice versa.
Right.
And that's something I've been trying to learn, at least. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. What's next for Escape? I loved the spinoff show. What's next for the group? Is there, I thought I read there was going to maybe be like a movie or something like that.
Yes.
You rolled your eyes. You're like, no.
No, because we're still in talks for that. So we're still actually working on that. So that's still potentially happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I really want a Kandi memoir. Can we get a book from you? How do we get that to happen?
That's funny because, I've been in conversations about that as well, but I just haven't pressed go on it yet. Yeah. I don't know why. I just haven't.
I mean, Kandi, I know you're really busy, but like I was, even just as I was preparing for this interview, I'm like, I don't even know like where to begin, because you've done so much and you've been so successful in so many different areas, and you've worked with so many different people that for a pop culture lover or a music lover, your life is so incredibly fascinating. I think we need a book from you. And reading Mariah's book, I'm like, oh my God. It would be great.
I heard Mariah's book is the bomb. So that's why I'm excited to get that book. But she's one of those people who has like that lifespan of career. There's just, so many different things to look at. So I guess in a sense, I think the same thing for myself. I'm like, I just kind of been like in so many different things, and I just don't even know where to begin and what I want to talk about. I'm just like, what book am I writing exactly? Like, it's so many different things that I could talk about right now. And so that's why I just was like, how you have so many decisions that you could make and you don't make one.
Yeah. I mean, I would love a book just on your songwriting. I mean, go through each song. Speaking of Housewives of Atlanta, you mentioned Derek J, and I'm a big fan of Closet Freak. I was just running to it the other day, and it's not on.
Oh, really?
It's not on streaming though. Like, how do we get it? I had like purchased it on iTunes years ago.
Yep.
It's a great fucking song, Kandi. Why can't we stream it? What's going on?
I think at the time we pulled it. I pulled it down. And I think at that time, long years ago, I think we had an issue. And so I just was like, so there's no issue. We'll just pull the record.
So is there a chance to get it back up somehow? Is there still an issue?
No, there's not an issue between us. So, I mean, I guess we could put it back up, but I mean, it's like so long. It's so old.
Kandi,
now.
It's a good song. I swear to God, I was just working out to it. It's a good song.
Are you serious?
I swear to God. I swear on my life. Yeah. I'm not your closet freak. I'm not your closet freak. I can't sing, but I can sing that song. Yeah. Talk to me about recording with Kim Zolciak. I mean, that was wild. You guys created a great song, though.
Yeah, we did. It was funny. Like back then, at that time, we were good friends. Well, we had made good friends quickly. We had become really cool, and I wanted to help her out, and we did the song, and it turned out great.
It did. I mean, people largely think of it as the best Housewife or Bravo song that's been done, because it's classic. Okay, talk to me about the new season of Atlanta Housewife. What was it like going into the season? Of course, you guys started it during the pandemic and so much was going on culturally. What was it like filming this season?
Oh my gosh. Well, we're still filming this season.
Okay.
But I think that it has been crazy wild just because, of course, everybody was like, how are we going to do this, in the middle of a pandemic? And just like all Housewives seasons, something still crazy happens just because that's who we are and we can't help but be ourselves. But, it started off, more so dealing with everybody's personal lives. So everybody has a lot going on personally, as always. And then when you're at home, it's really more happening personally, For me, my baby Riley, she's graduating. Well, she graduated, excuse me, going out to New York. Babies are growing up, opening new restaurants in the middle of COVID, how are we doing that? Just all of that stuff. So, and then, the other girls trying to mend friendships as always. And then some, once again, are falling out. And then some people who you think we're never going to become cool again actually have come to terms and gotten in a better place together, which is surprising even to me.
In the trailer, we see the stripper with the COVID mask on, and it's like, I need that whole episode right now, Kandi. I need it.
Yeah, well, I guess you can kind of blame me for that. Obviously, because I'm good for finding a stripper.
Right.
But
love that.
Yeah. Well, Cynthia
wait, can you slow down for a second? How did you find a stripper in the pandemic? Did they come with the mask on, or did you guys have to say, you guys have to put the mask on, or how does that even happen?
First of all, it was, okay, so Cynthia, it was getting married. And I was in charge of putting together the whole bachelorette situation. Now, if I'm in charge of putting together a bachelorette party, I'm going to make sure that we have a phenomenal time. Okay. Now, I had a whole dungeon party that I toured across the country. Yeah. Clearly, I know how to find a male entertainer. He was in my dungeon tour, so it wasn't like I had to go far to find him, So I just asked him to do it. I had him COVID tested, so really, I already knew he was
safe,
free of any of that, so he was good. But I made sure he was masked up and had his uniform on and all of that.
Was he the one? Okay, so there's these rumors, and I know you can't exactly speak to the rumors so specifically, but there's rumors that somebody had hooked up with the stripper. Was it that guy that the rumors are about? And who was it? Yeah, who was it?
That was what the rumor was. The rumor mill. Yeah, okay. That was the rumor.
Okay,
that was the rumor.
Interesting. What at the very beginning of the season, I saw just the first couple of minutes of the opening of this season, and the Black Lives Matter movement is addressed. And oftentimes on Bravo, the real world stuff, it's usually more about the interpersonal relationships of the cast members. But it seems like this might be an instance where the larger world is talked about on the show. I don't know if this makes any sense, but how do you feel about that? Sort of coming into the Housewives world, are you excited to be able to share those experiences, or how are you feeling about that?
I feel like 2020 made it to where it's like, how could we not really talk about it? This is the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So if we're going to keep it real, how are we going to avoid talking about something that's really happening in the world today, And one of our castmates, Portia, actually was arrested during the time of taping. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to pretend that didn't happen? Are we not going to have these conversations? So it's just like, of course we had to, talk about what's happening. During the time that we were on our cast trip, the verdict, was called out, so it's just like, how are we going to not speak about these things? It just doesn't make sense. So I feel like in the beginning, I think it was a thing of, well, do we address any of the things that are happening? Because it can be heavy. It can be heavy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we all know that. And I know a lot of times, we like to keep it light on television, of course. But at the same time, we want to keep it real, and we don't want to avoid what's really happening amongst the cast. So certain things we had to address. We don't want to make the whole season heavy to where, it's too hard for people to watch, but we definitely have to address certain things,
Yeah. Kandi, what's next for you? Obviously, you won The Masked Singer. I loved watching you on Celebrity Big Brother. That was a year or so ago. What's next for you? Do you still, this might be a stupid question too, but do you still dream of like career goals, or do you still have a lot of career goals? Because you've accomplished so much.
You just asked me, do I still have dreams?
Well, you know.
Of course, I still have dreams. What?
Right.
I have way too many dreams. Like I never stop dreaming. That's the thing. Like I don't think anybody who's I don't think anybody ever stops dreaming, especially people who just have goals. It's like you get a goal and it's just like another one comes. It just never stops, Yeah. It just never.
So what's the big dream right now? Or is it movies? Is it another TV show? Yeah.
Movies. It's goals. Like it's everybody. I mean, I have a Grammy. I want an Emmy. I want an Oscar. I want a Tony. Just like anybody who's in this industry. I have the same goals as a lot of other entertainers, writers, producers. I have those goals too. And so now I'm just trying to better myself. Like I want to become better. Like I want to become better at everything that I do. I feel like I'm pretty good, but I want to be great. That's my goal. Like, so now I'm in classes. I'm trying to get better. I want to become a better me.
That's amazing to hear from someone at your stage in your career saying that. I mean, it's so inspiring. Where are you at with the other women on the cast? How are you getting along with everyone? I know there's a new woman in the cast this season. Where are you at with them?
I think I get along pretty good with everybody, for the most part. I mean, yeah, I think I'm getting along pretty much.
There's always a moment or two throughout the season where you kind of you give it to someone good. I don't know if that's the right term, but there's always like one, and it's always the best part of the season. It's like, does that happen? Do we have that?
Let me see. Did I have to give it to somebody good this year? I mean, I've had to have some conversations with some people, but I don't know if I had to cuss anybody out bad this year. But here's the thing. It's like, it's so weird to me in this group. It's like anytime that I'm getting along with somebody that everybody else doesn't like, it's like everybody's like, oh, she never holds that person accountable, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, if I start getting along with another person, then that person starts feeling like, oh, she's over there taking up for this person. So it's like, I always feel like I'm in the middle being pulled a different way. It's just weird. I don't know. I'm in a weird situation. Like I feel how I feel and I just say how I feel.
Is there anyone you'd want to bring back from the people that have left the show? Like someone specifically that you think would be great to bring back?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's not that I wouldn't bring people back. I don't have anything against bringing people back. It's just that I don't have anything against the new people either.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against the newcomers. Like they bring something different as well. So it's just like, I'm okay with either or.
I'm going to wrap this up because I know you got to go, but is there a favorite moment from throughout your time on the show or something? I mean, there's so many like iconic memes and stuff like that, who said that? And we see each other and there's so many of these Kandi moments. Like, is there one that it makes you laugh when you see a GIF or a GIF of it, or?
All of them make me laugh. Okay. Yeah. They all make me laugh. Definitely Bring It On Down. Definitely We See Each Other is a good one. You named them.
Yeah. I loved at the reunion when you said, I'm embedded in your brain. That was so good. It was so good.
Oh, thank you. Now that one, it was a bit much because I felt like my eyes were this big because we were in the screen. So I was just like, oh my God, why was I so close to the screen? Yeah. It felt weird because I was just, I'm embedded. And I was like, whoa.
That was the first.
Like, ooh.
It was a lot, but that was the first Zoom reunion and also the best. It was like it peaked with you guys, and then it was like, okay, no more Zoom reunions. You guys did good.
Yeah, like
it was too much. Kandi, what I ask every single guest this. I know we already talked about Mariah Carey, but do you have a favorite Mariah Carey song, like of anything she's done?
Oh, Vision of Love is like my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Like when she first started, like that, she sang her ass off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I remember trying to mimic that whistle note in that song. And I was like, oh my God, her voice is.
Yeah. Real quick, what was The Masked Singer like? I mean, you got to sing on that on like such a huge platform. Was that fun for you? That must have been fun for you.
Yes. I mean, first of all, to walk around in secret, trying to be in costumes and hiding every day, that is great. Like, first of all, I love stuff like that, you know? Yeah. Like just this whole trying to be secretive and hiding and the costumes and over the top. Like I love that, you know? So it was just a fun experience. Everything about it I loved. The people, the production crew, everybody is just a really great team. And it was just a great experience.
Well, it was so great seeing you there. And I love Insecure. It was so great seeing you pop up on Insecure. I mean, there's so many things I could ask you about, but I'm going to let you go. I'm so excited. Obviously everyone can find you online. Is there anything else you want to tell us to look out for or purchase, or what can we do?
Ooh, I just wrapped a movie the other day that I'm in. It's a Lifetime movie. It's called Envy. That's coming early 2021. Excited about that. My new restaurant, Blaze, is opening soon. What is it? Kandi and Todd presents Blaze Steak and Seafood. I'm so excited about that one.
I've heard the best things about OLG, like food-wise. I've just heard the best things about it. I haven't been able to visit yet, but...
Thank you. And we dropped some new products from Bedroom Candy for the holidays. So, yes, get some good stocking stuffers.
Yes. Yes, I will. I'll go there right now.
Kodak Cosmetics. Yes. I mean, everything. It was a lot of great things. And overall, just for the kids.
Are you tired? You must be tired. You do so much.
I'm always tired.
Yeah. Yeah. Kandi, I love you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time. I can't wait to watch this season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I want to tell everyone to find me on social media at Danny Pellegrino. Follow Kandi. Go buy some bedroom candy for the holidays and go visit OLG. Support the restaurants. Get some takeout or whatever you can do right now. Thank you, Kandi. Thank you, Kandi. Hope to meet you in person sometime.
That'd be great.
Bye-bye.